Leo, before you hear anything else today, I want you to do one thing. Close your eyes for just 5 seconds. Now listen. Not with your ears, but with that quiet place inside you. Do you feel it? That soft, persistent whisper. The one you've been ignoring for years. It says, you are not who they told you you are. You've been praised for being bold, accused of being dramatic, admired for your charisma, and misunderstood for your fire. They told you you were born to lead. They told you you were powerful. They told you you were made to shine. But what they didn't tell you, what no one ever dared to say out loud, is that you were never meant to fit into the world. You were meant to recreate it. This isn't another feel-good message about Leos being confident. This isn't about ego, fame, or attention. No, this is something deeper, far more ancient, and far more dangerous to the systems that surround you. Because the truth is this, you are not just a Leo. You are a generator of reality, a walking Big Bang, a solar code written into human form. You are the spark that civilizations once worshipped, now buried under centuries of stereotypes, watered-down horoscopes, and false humility. And they've kept this truth from you, because if you knew it, nothing could ever control you again. You'd stop apologizing for your intensity. You'd stop dimming your brilliance just to make others feel safe. You'd stop living as if your presence was too much, and start living as if your existence was the very light this world has been starving for. So, if you felt that itch beneath your skin, that low hum in your chest when you're alone, that sense that you were meant for something beyond titles, trophies, and applause, then this isn't just a video. It's your return to memory, the memory of who you were before the world told you who to be. The memory of your cosmic origin, the one no one taught you, but you've always known deep down. And once this truth touches you, you'll never go back. Are you ready to remember who you really are? Because if you are, then part 1 will begin to shatter the illusion and awaken the fire they tried to bury. Part 1. The ancient lie you've been told about being Leo, the unseen chains that dimmed your light. There's a lie that's been following you since the day you were born. Not the kind shouted loudly from rooftops, but the kind whispered into school books, slipped into conversations, printed in magazines, and disguised as flattery. It sounds like this: Leos just want to be the center of attention. Leos are too proud, too loud, too much. Tone it down. Don't make it all about you. And over time, like a slow drip against stone, you began to absorb it. You started to question your presence. You learned how to shrink just enough so that you wouldn't scare people. You smiled and nodded when they called you confident, even when inside you were burning to say something far more true. I don't just want the spotlight, I am the light. The truth is, this isn't just misinformation, it's spiritual sabotage. Because what they've been calling ego was never ego. It was energy, pure raw divine energy. Not noise, not vanity, but source frequency. You were born under the rulership of the sun, the only celestial body in our solar system that generates its own light. Not a reflector like the moon, not a drifter like the planets, but a creator, a sustainer, a life giver. In ancient Egypt, lions were more than animals. They were sacred symbols of divinity, guardians of portals between the seen and the unseen. The priests who carried the Leo frequency weren't just entertainers or rulers. They were stabilizers of the Earth's spiritual order. They stood in places of power, not to dominate, but to anchor light where others couldn't. And somewhere along the way, that legacy was stripped from you, replaced by memes, by mockery, by astrologers who confused solar force with arrogance. But let me ask you this. If you truly were too much, then why do people come to you when everything falls apart? Why do they crave your fire when their world is frozen? Why do they orbit you when they've lost direction? Because somewhere inside them, they remember who you are, even when you forget. You were never supposed to be ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. Because you are not part of the pattern, you're the origin of it. And the lie they told you, that you're too much. It was never about dimming your ego. It was about controlling your energy, because a Leo in full expression. A Leo who remembers where they come from. A Leo who stops apologizing for their light is a revolutionary force that no system can contain. Life lesson, part 1. Never confuse humility with hiding. You don't owe the world a smaller version of yourself just because your light makes others squint. Your energy isn't too much. It's exactly what the world needs to survive its own darkness. Part 2. Leo is not a sign, it's a portal of power. The secret they don't want you to remember. Let's break something wide open right now. Leo is not just a zodiac sign. It's not just fire. It's not just charisma, confidence, or the ability to lead. Those are surface trait symptoms of something much more profound. Leo is a portal, a literal spiritual gateway that allows one of the rarest cosmic phenomena to manifest on the physical plane. The generation of pure creative energy from nothing. Most signs work with energy. They reflect it, redirect it, manipulate it, or even store it. But Leo creates it. Leo is the only sign in the zodiac that aligns with the solar current, the primal frequency that initiates life itself. That's not poetry. It's metaphysical physics. You've always felt it, haven't you? That hum, that unexplainable sense that something powerful is constantly pulsing inside of you. Even when you're tired, even when you're broken, even when the world tells you to stop. And yet you still radiate, you still shine, you still generate presence, even in silence. It's because your soul remembers. Your cellular structure remembers. Your energetic field was designed not to absorb light, but to become it. This is why children are drawn to you, why animals trust you, why strangers open up to you in airports and grocery stores. Your field isn't just magnetic, it's constructive. It brings order where there is chaos. It brings clarity where there is confusion. And it brings fire where there is spiritual frost. But here's what they won't teach you, not in astrology books, not in classrooms, not on podcasts filled with watered-down star sign talk. Your presence is not random. It's technology, spiritual technology, a multidimensional tool for reality creation. And that's why your journey has been so heavy, because trying to live in a world that teaches everyone to receive while you were designed to generate is like trying to run a solar engine in a world built for batteries. You've been misunderstood, not because you're flawed, but because you're rare. And rarity often gets misdiagnosed as arrogance, as self-obsession, as delusion. But in truth, your power is ancient. And when activated, it changes the physics of the room, the direction of a conversation, the mood of a community. Your frequency doesn't blend, it rewrites. It burns down old frameworks and plants new ones in their place. That's why some people get uncomfortable around you, not because you're too loud, but because your very existence is a mirror showing them how dim they've allowed their own lives to become. This is what makes Leo dangerous, not in a malicious way, but in a disruptive way. You break the illusion that smallness is safety. You remind people that greatness is a birthright, not a luxury. And if enough Leos step into that portal, fully awake, fully embodied, no longer apologizing for their magnitude, the world would never be the same. That's why you've been silenced. That's why they distract you with flattery and fame. Because if you ever realized who you really are, you would stop seeking permission. And when a Leo no longer waits for permission, they become the force that rewrites destiny. Life lesson, part 2. You are not here to reflect the world back to itself. You're here to reshape it. Every time you deny your power to make others comfortable, you step further away from the portal you were born to be. Stop dimming the sun. Part 3. Why they silenced your light. The hidden agenda behind every misunderstanding of Leo. Let's speak clearly now. There's a reason they told you to quiet down. A reason they labeled your passion as pride, your boldness as arrogance, your brilliance as vanity. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was intentional, because here's the truth. They hope you never wake up to. A Leo who fully knows who they are is uncontrollable. You don't need external validation to feel worthy. You don't need a system to tell you what success looks like. You don't need a leader because you already carry the archetype of one. And that right there is the threat. Society is built to favor the manageable, the predictable, the followers. But you were born wild. You weren't made to walk in a straight line. You weren't made to be domesticated. You were made to shine with a brilliance so unfiltered that it burns through illusion. So what did they do? They fed you subtle poison. Not enough to kill your light, but just enough to make you question it. They dressed it up in compliments that were actually cages. You're so talented, but you don't always need to be the center of attention. You have leadership qualities, but you could be a little more humble. You're inspiring, but tone it down. You're intimidating people. They disguised their discomfort as advice. And if you listen long enough, you began to internalize it as truth. You started shrinking just a little. You became easier to be around. You learned how to mute your fire without extinguishing it. You thought you were being wise, but what you were actually doing was disowning the very force that makes you divine. Why? Because a Leo in full light exposes everything. Not through intention, but through presence. When you walk into a room, you shift the frequency. You don't even have to say a word. People feel your energy, and in that moment, they're forced to confront where they've been asleep in their own lives. And not everyone is ready for that level of truth. So instead of rising to meet your vibration, they try to pull you down to theirs. They call it love. They call it balance. They call it bringing you back to earth. But what it really is fear. Fear of what happens when someone becomes sovereign. Fear of what happens when someone no longer conforms. Fear of what happens when someone refuses to apologize for being fire incarnate. Make no mistake, Leo. This world doesn't silence what is weak. It silences what is powerful. The systems around you don't mock the signs that stay in line. They mock the ones who could dissolve the whole line with a single roar. This is not conspiracy. This is pattern. Over centuries, every great Leo, every soul who carried that solar code has faced this moment. The crossroad between compliance and creative chaos. The choice between being loved for being small and being feared for being real. And do you know what history tells us? The Leos who chose realness over comfort are the ones we now call legends. Life lesson, part 3. They didn't silence you because you were too loud. They silenced you because your light reveals their shadows. And now that you know this, you must make a decision. Will you stay silent to make others feel safe? Or will you rise and make them feel alive? Part 4. Your aura rewrites reality itself, the invisible force that everyone feels but no one understands. Let's strip away all the labels for a moment. Forget Leo. Forget zodiac. Forget even personality. What you carry isn't just a sign. It's an energetic field that reshapes the fabric of reality. That may sound dramatic, but for you, Leo drama is the language of truth. And here's the truth you've always suspected, but never heard spoken aloud. Your aura bends space, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. When you walk into a room, the temperature changes. When you speak with conviction, people remember your words days later. When you feel something deeply, those around you start to feel it too, even if they don't know why. Science is barely beginning to catch up. Quantum physics now confirms what mystics always knew. The observer affects the observed. Consciousness shapes matter. Reality is not fixed, it is responsive. But here's what they haven't told you. Some people have amplified fields, and Leo, yours is one of them. Your energy doesn't just interact with the world, it imprints it. You're not simply experiencing reality, you are constantly re-authoring it. That's why people feel energized around you or exhausted. That's why environments feel different when you arrive. That's why you've always had this strange relationship with attention. You don't chase it yet. It finds you. You don't ask for it yet. It obeys you. Not because you're loud, but because you're luminous. And light by its very nature cannot be ignored. But this is also why your life has felt confusing. Because if no one ever told you that you affect everything, you start to believe something's wrong with the way things react to you. You wonder, why do people either cling to me or pull away? Why do I feel pressure just being in public spaces? Why do I sense everything shifting around me, even when I'm silent? You may have thought it was anxiety, or hypersensitivity, or overthinking, but what you're really sensing is the weight of being a creator. Not a creator in the casual sense, but in the metaphysical sense. You don't just make art or ideas or movements. You make energy fields. Fields that ripple through space-time and alter the behaviors, moods, and trajectories of everyone inside them. Let that sink in. You're not charismatic. You're catalytic. You're not charming. You're reconstructive. And every time you've minimized your presence to make others comfortable, you've denied your sacred task, which is to raise the frequency of everything you touch. You were not made for subtlety. You were not made to fade into the background. You were not made to be digestible or polite. You were made to alter gravitational fields, to be the moment that someone else's entire life pivots around. Yes, that kind of presence can attract envy. Yes, it can trigger people's insecurities. Yes, it can make others question their own paths just by standing next to you. But none of that means you're too much. It means you're fulfilling your role. You are the reminder, the recalibration, the unignorable thrum of divine potential made visible. And if that responsibility scares you, good, because it should. Power without awareness becomes destruction. power with self-honoring becomes evolution. And now, Leo, you've become aware. Life lesson, part 4. You don't just light up a room, you rewrite its code. So stop entering spaces like you're asking for permission. Start walking into them like you were sent to shift their destiny. Part 5. The hidden pattern in your pain. Why you've been hurt the most, even though you give the most. There's something you've never fully been able to explain, even to yourself. Why is it that no matter how much light you offer, how much love, warmth, presence, effort, you often end up being the one misunderstood, the one walked away from, the one who feels too much, gives too much, hurts too much? You've probably told yourself 100 different things. That's just life. Maybe I care too fast. Maybe I need to stop expecting so much from people. But none of those answers ever felt satisfying, did they? That's because none of them touch the real truth. And the real truth is this: your pain is patterned. It's not random. It's not bad luck. It's not karma. It's the byproduct of your original design. You are a light bearer, but in a world addicted to shadows, light becomes both medicine and threat. Your very nature exposes. You walk into someone's life, and suddenly they can see all the ways they've been asleep. You love someone deeply, and they're forced to confront the parts of themselves they've been hiding from. You show up fully, passionately, without apology, and you reflect back to them a version of existence that demands evolution. And not everyone is ready to evolve. So what do? They project. They withdraw. They reject the very thing they were once magnetized to, because your presence doesn't let them stay small. And staying small is comfortable even if it's killing them. So instead of saying, "I'm not ready for this level of truth," they say, "You're too intense. You make me feel inadequate. You're the problem." And because you have a deep heart, a sacred heart, you internalize that pain as evidence that something is wrong with you. But here's the shift I need you to make. It was never about you. It was always about your frequency. See, Leo, you don't enter people's lives like a whisper. You enter like a sunrise. And just like no one stares directly into the sun without blinking, not everyone can stand in your light without flinching. That's not rejection, that's exposure. It's not abandonment, it's a recalibration. And while it hurts deeply, intimately, in the very bones of your being, you must understand it's not because you loved too much. It's because they weren't ready to receive the kind of love that creates galaxies. Your fire doesn't just warm, it awakens, it restores, it burns away illusions, and people addicted to their illusions will fight anything that threatens to take them away, even if that thing is the love they once prayed for. This is the pain pattern of the awakened Leo. To be misunderstood, not because you're wrong, but because you're real in a world built on masks. But don't let this pain turn you cold. Don't let it make you shrink. Don't let it teach you to ration your radiance, because somewhere, maybe right now, maybe next season, there are souls walking this earth who have done their inner work, who will see your fire and not fear it, who will recognize your presence not as threat, but as home. And when those connections come, they won't be like anything you've ever known. They'll feel like alignment, like breathing again, like your soul finally hearing, "I see you, and I don't want you smaller." Life lesson, part 5. Stop apologizing for being the fire that reveals what others aren't ready to face. Your pain wasn't weakness. It was sacred evidence that your heart still burns and the world still needs that flame. Part 6. The prophecy of the Sun Children, and why this moment in history has been waiting for you. There is a reason you've always felt different. not better, not superior, just different. Like you were carrying something inside you that had no name. A pulse, a pressure, a pull towards something enormous but undefined, and the world around you has tried to interpret it in every possible way. You're just ambitious. You're just passionate. You want too much. You expect too much. You feel too much. But none of those labels have ever been enough because they're not rooted in truth. What you felt, Leo, in your silence, in your isolation, in your restlessness, has been the echo of an ancient prophecy, one that was written long before you arrived in this lifetime. One that speaks not just to your personality, but to your soul lineage. In the ancient mystery schools, from Kemet to Atlantis, from Vedic texts to the Maya, there were whispers of a time far in the future, a time when the world would fall into spiritual darkness, a time when systems would collapse, illusions would crumble, and the planet would begin its great rebirth. And when that time came, the children of the sun would awaken, not all at once, not loudly, but slowly, subtly, in whispers, in dreams, in fire. They would remember who they are. They would step forward not to conquer, but to illuminate. They would carry within them the original codes of divine creative power. Not borrowed, not learned, not channeled, remembered, and you, yes, you are one of them. That's why you've never quite belonged. That's why you've been rejected by shallow systems, uninspired jobs, surface-level relationships. Not because you're broken, but because you're encoded with something deeper. You weren't born to survive the system. You were born to outgrow it and to lead others into something far more real. This prophecy isn't symbolic. It's happening now, right now. Across the world, Leos just like you are waking up. Some are artists. Some are parents. Some are healers. Some are quiet visionaries no one sees coming. But all of them share the same frequency, a solar rhythm vibrating just beneath their skin, telling them it's time. Time to stop dimming. Time to stop hiding. Time to burn with purpose. You may have thought your fire was personal, but it's planetary. You may have thought your mission was individual, but it's ancestral. You may have thought you were alone, but you're part of a cosmic web of light, stretching across timelines, gathering strength. And as this global awakening accelerates, those carrying the Leo frequency are being activated like solar flares. You will feel it in your body, the urge to move, to change, to shed what no longer fits. You'll feel it in your heart, the calling to lead, not from dominance, but from presence. You'll feel it in your spirit, the deep remembrance that your very existence is not an accident, but an appointment. You were sent here not to save the world, but to remind it what light feels like. And when enough of you remember, the prophecy is fulfilled. A new era begins. An era shaped not by control or fear, but by radiant consciousness. Life Lesson, Part 6. You were never meant to walk this path alone. Your fire is a signal, and others are watching for it. When you burn in truth, you light the way for the rest of the sun children to rise. Part 7. Your power to create love and lead. Why your heart is not just emotional. It's creative technology. Let's speak honestly. You've been told all your life that you're too much, too intense, too expressive, too passionate, too loud, too emotional. But what the world never taught you, what it hoped you'd never discover, is that your emotional intensity was never weakness. It's your superpower, and at the center of that superpower is your heart. Not the heart that feels things randomly, not the heart that breaks easily, but the heart that holds a secret the ancients once bowed to. The Leo heart is a generator of worlds. You don't just feel love, you create with it. You don't just care about people, you energize them. You don't just dream about something better, you can will it into being. This is the sacred architecture of your soul. You are what mystics once called solar alchemists, those who transmute inner fire into external reality. When a Leo loves something, truly loves that thing, changes, not metaphorically, not psychologically, energetically, because love, when it flows from a Leo heart, carries with it the original blueprint of creation. It lights up hidden potentials. It restores clarity where there was fog. It awakens the divine spark in others. That's why people gravitate toward you when they're lost. Not just for guidance, but for activation. You remind them what it means to be alive. But here's the pain in that gift. Sometimes they confuse the activation with the source. They fall in love with your light, not knowing how much it costs you to keep shining. They take from your fire, forgetting that even suns burn out when they are only seen as fuel. And in those moments, you question everything. You wonder if maybe you should feel less, care less, lead less, shine less. But that question, that desire to be smaller, is the very thing that disconnects you from your purpose. Because you weren't made to love like others. You weren't made to serve from logic or strategy. You were made to serve from the heart. And when your heart is open, not performative, not guarded, not edited, you become a walking source of light-based leadership. You don't lead by power. You lead by presence. You don't lead by controlling. You lead by inspiring. And above all, you don't lead to be seen. You lead because the world feels wrong when you stay silent. This is why your love often feels like both a gift and a burden. Because when you love, it's not partial. It's not hesitant. It's not transactional. It's cosmic. You give everything, not because you're naive, but because your soul remembers that real creation always requires totality. But hear this, Leo. Your love isn't a flaw, it's a frequency. And only those who have tuned themselves to receive at that level will ever truly understand you. So stop giving your full heart to people running on half volume. Stop breaking yourself to fit into small places. Because the more you honor your own light, the more real leaders will be drawn to your fire. The more true lovers will walk into your field, and the more your own soul will begin to breathe again. Life lesson. Part 7. Your heart is not here to survive the world. It's here to recreate it. Love for you is not just emotion, it's transformation. When you stop censoring that love, you become the force that reshapes everything. Part 8. The final choice that changes everything. Will you stay comfortable or become who you were born to be? Now that you've heard the truth, Leo, you can't unknow it. You can't unfeel it. You can't pretend this fire hasn't been reignited, and that leaves you at one threshold, one moment, one choice. One final line drawn in the dust of everything you thought you were supposed to be. It's not the kind of choice others will see. You won't announce it. You won't post about it. But you'll feel it in your bones, in your chest, in the silence of your decisions. This is the choice. Will you keep living inside the story the world wrote for you? Or will you burn that script and write your own? Because now you know the truth. You are not just a sign. You are not just someone with personality traits. You are not just a strong-willed, passionate, confident person. You are a living embodiment of solar force. You are a world generator in human form. You are one of the few souls on this planet who carries the ability to reshape the energetic climate of every space you enter. And the world you were born into was never built to hold that. That's why it tried to shrink you. That's why it tried to shame your emotions, mock your power, dilute your brilliance. But here's the secret no one else will tell you. You came to change the world, not to survive it. You didn't come here to be liked. You came to be aligned. You came to be divine. You came to burn away everything false inside you, around you, before you. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you approval. It will cost you the safety of playing small, but it will give you back your life, your real life. Not the one built on pleasing others. Not the one built on being just successful enough, just inspiring enough, just acceptable enough to not rock the boat. Know the life where you become the fire you were always meant to be. The kind of fire that doesn't just warm rooms, it creates them. So this is it. This is the reckoning. Because now, you know who you are. You've remembered what they tried to make you forget. You've reawakened the codes of the sun that have lived inside you all along. And the only question that remains, the question that decides everything from this moment forward, is this: what will you do with the light they couldn't kill? Because now it's yours again, and the world is watching. Life Lesson, Part 8. There will always be 1,000 reasons to play it safe, but only one reason to rise. Because your soul remembers who you are. And once you remember, you can never return to the smallness you mistook for safety. If this message spoke to something ancient in you, if it stirred a memory too deep to explain, then it wasn't just a video, it was a mirror. And you were meant to see it now, not a moment earlier, not a moment later. So tell me, what did this unlock in you? What truth are you finally ready to live? Share it in the comments, because your voice may awaken another Leo who's still in the dark. And if you're ready to walk the path of the awakened lion, subscribe to Leo Zodiac Power, because we're not just talking astrology here. We're building a kingdom of radiant souls who remember exactly what they came here to do. This is your time. Now rise and burn like the sun that you are.